Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Given that we are in a bull market and there's a very reasonable chance that XRP this market cycle will finally hit a new all-time high, enter price discovery, and melt some freaking faces, finally, given that is the situation that we're in leading up to that point, which, again, I think is totally plausible, I want to talk a little bit and warn a bit against yourself, because it is possible to be too greedy. And I know that if we're in this position, there's going to be a lot of people that that are of sound mind right now thinking they're going to sell at so and so price level, and then as that approaches, they're going to think, but what if it goes higher? What if it goes higher? And we are our own worst enemy when it comes to investing, as I frequently say. And that's true in the bear market, that's true in bull markets. And given that we're a little bit out from that at this point, this isn't likely to happen tomorrow, for example, I thought it'd be worth taking a few minutes to discuss the topic. Because, we get tested in bear markets much more frequently than we get tested in bull markets because, at least in particular, those phases where we're in the most euphoric portion, we're not usually in that environment, so we're not tested. You don't have as much experience being tested in those environments, no matter who you are. We're mostly in areas where maybe you're going sideways or down, trending up a little bit. But when those crazy moments happen, it just make sure that you're collecting yourself before making important financial decisions. And so there was this headline here, and I think that this guy, whatever you think of this, I think that this guy is showing signs that he's probably going to handle this pretty well. The headline is, top investor expects to make $1.5 million with XRP. Here's how. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so piece reads as follows. Michael XBT, a seasoned crypto trader and long-term Bitcoin investor, reveals he would secure a $1.5 million profit if XRP hit his $2 price target. So that means he's got a lot of XRP. Not quite a million XRP, but he's not far off. And so here is the actual post. He wrote, if XRP hits my $2 target, I'll make a quick $1.5 million. When it hits that level, I plan on moving the profits into other alts with bullish setups. Now, a couple of things on this. And I actually asked him, I was like, are you thinking that XRP is going to peak at $2? Is that why you're doing that? And I didn't think he'd say yes, and he didn't. But he wasn't comfortable making a prediction as far as how high it's going to go. So he's not saying that's it, only $2. That's not even a new all-time high. But he's a trader. Okay, he's a trader. So, if you're a holder like me, you're not looking for necessarily. So, when I bought XRP, I was never looking for like a 2 or 3 or 4-fold increase. As I was buying, I was like, nah, this is going to have to be way more substantial for me. Now, that being said, I'm not going to be so insane as to require like a $50 XRP for me to start finally cashing out. Because look, here's the deal. If you have an amount of money in your portfolio and you're looking at it, you can make it real by selling. You can make it very, very real. So it's not just on paper, as they say. And so for him, that would be sufficient, just at $2. And so some people will still mock him and say, $2, bro, it's going to 10, it's going to 20, it's going to 30. What are you doing? But those are such ridiculous juvenile comments. It doesn't make sense. Different people have different targets, and they have different quantities of XRP. And I will tell you this, my targets for an exit point for XRP used to be way higher than they are right now. Way higher. Now, why were they way higher in the past? Honestly, because I used to have way less XRP. I spent literally coming up on, it was close to 3 years, dollar cost averaging in, and then at the tail end of that, I did make some larger purchases, individual purchases, just to cap off, and I talked about that on my channel at the time. As a result of doing that and having more XRP, I decided I was willing to sell sooner. Why? Because I'm taking risk off the table here. And so if he really has so much XRP that he'd have $1.5 million if he sells it at $2, good for him. If that's true and he's got that much, good for him. And we shouldn't be crapping on him if he chooses to do that. That's perfectly reasonable. That's perfectly fine. And so XRP won't be surprised if it runs much higher than that, and I won't be selling at that price level. But people give me crap too. So I know, based on the the XRP ledger, it's public, so you can see how much XRP is in wallets. You can put it in buckets. That's the reason the XRP rich list exists. And I know that I have a lot more XRP than most people, and as a result of that, I'm willing to sell at a lower price than most people would be willing to sell. So what? You just take risk off the table, So that's why I'd be willing to start selling. I mean, even less than $5. So, and for me, and I've said this before, I'd probably only sell, if it's like anywhere from $4 to $5, I'd probably only sell, about 5%, because around that would cover all of the money that I ever put into XRP. Selling between $4 to $5, get that 5%, get to sell that 5%, at least cover that, and then everything from there is just pure profit at that point. I mean, there's taxes, of course. But other than that, it's pure profit. And so that's why I said I'd want to scale out between $5 to $8. And I don't even know for sure if we'll get that. Now, I'm optimistic that we will. I don't think that's a big ask. As long as we're going to have a real and proper alt season, I'd be real surprised if XRP doesn't hit a new all-time high in a price discovery. That's my expectation. I don't make price predictions. I'm just saying what my suspicion is, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's what I'm hoping and expecting is going to happen. Because XRP is clearly here to stay, and we're clearly in a bull market, in my estimation anyway. So it makes sense for all of that to happen, but some people get greedy. And then on the flip side, and this is the reason I want to highlight this, there's all sorts of people out there feeding you perspectives that I think are just completely unreasonable. Completely unreasonable. For instance, take a look at this. There's this post from Amonix, and he wrote, "The long-awaited big explosion in XRP is coming very soon. Are you ready?" And so this is not a personal attack on him. I think what he's sharing here is completely absurd, though. The idea, I don't care who says it. It's not about him. There are all sorts of people that say this and presumably believe stuff like this. I hope it's not just engagement farming. And so you can see this green arrow, and he's expecting XRP to hit over $100. Folks, it ain't happening. Not this market cycle. If you're looking decades out and way more money flows in, I'm not saying it's impossible for XRP to be 3 digits, fine. This market cycle, that is completely absurd. Because you understand the money that would have to flow into Bitcoin first for it to then cycle in XRP. I mean, what would that even put Bitcoin at? Like $1 million or something stupid like that? I can't remember. I actually did the math on it recently. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it may have been something like that. Like Bitcoin, this market cycle, would probably have to get to about $1 million in order for there to be then enough money to flow through to the rest, because that's the way it works. It doesn't just flow into the altcoin first and then the people just sell and then go to Bitcoin. No, it goes into Bitcoin. Broadly speaking, this is how the market works on the whole. You can find instances where people just buy alts and no Bitcoin. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm saying on the whole, money goes into Bitcoin first, then cycles through the rest of the space. Do you think Bitcoin's going to $1 million this market cycle? Because I'm telling you, there's not a snowball's chance in hell. It just ain't happening. Not this market cycle. Maybe Bitcoin does hit $1 million one day. Not now. Not within the next few months. That's absurd. Or even throughout 2025. That's ridiculous. And so if you think that XRP is going to hit this, you're living in fantasy land here. No offense, but somebody's got to tell you it doesn't make sense. So do whatever. If you think it makes sense and you want to buy whatever based on that, you do you. I'm not telling you to buy or sell or hold. You do it. I'm just sharing my thoughts on the internet. We're all entitled to share our perspective. I think it is that absurd. And so this was reposted by Crypto Michael, who is aiming to sell at $2. And he said, he reposted that and he said, XRP will pump hard once it breaks out of the 7-year pennant, but the returns will be heavily diminished compared to 2017. Prepare to be disappointed if you are expecting a 100x pump like the chart below suggests. And the one that he shared was this one. It's just not showing up for whatever reason. And he says, you will be my exit liquidity. Yeah, 100x pump not happening. Don't even shoot for that. You're not going to get... I've seen too many examples of people, and I appreciate these people sharing their experience, but people go through a market cycle, they have life-changing wealth on paper, and then they don't sell. And I feel bad for the people, but, a lot of people learn the hard way. That's why I'm sharing this video now before we get into this zone, because it's going to be hard. And I just think the best way to look at this is, because you'll be in this moment. You'll be saying, what if it goes higher? What if I sell now and it goes higher? Don't. Stop. Get your mind right now, before we're even in that moment. If it's life-changing for you and it's sufficient, strongly weigh that. Now make the decision for you. I don't know what's right for you, but I think it makes sense to strongly weigh that and for that to be a primary reason to sell. That's what I'm doing for myself. You do whatever you want. For me, that's going to be it. And then if something runs 2, 3, 4, 5 times higher, 10 times higher, 20 times higher, I don't care. Because I got mine and I took the risk off the table, and you don't know for sure. But all too frequently, because look, I understand, you could beat yourself up. It did go 5 times higher. Okay. But you know what usually happens is it doesn't. And you don't get anything. You miss it. You just miss it. That's what I usually see happen. Do you want to play that game? I mean, you can. I'm not going to. I will not be surprised if I sell all of my XRP and it goes way higher than where I sell it. And I'm being upfront about that. And I will not beat myself up over it. I will tell you guys when I've sold all of my XRP, and I will cheer on the rest of you. And then when the market craters because the bubble pops, I'll start dollar cost averaging in and buy a whole bunch more XRP with new money that I earn. Absolutely. I'm not going to cease to be interested in XRP, but I'm playing the wide swings, very wide. For me, I've never sold a single XRP. I've been holding almost 7 years now. So I play the long game. But if I'm sufficiently enticed, you better believe I'm going to sell. So get your mind right here. And there's sage wisdom from Eric Voorhees with 692,000 followers on X. He is the founder of Shapeshift cryptocurrency exchange, by the way. And, funny enough, I'll just mention this as an aside. I actually used Shapeshift in part to purchase my first XRP ever. And I converted a coin. I can't remember what I converted from. I don't know if it was Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever. But I converted it using Shapeshift, and then it got planted onto GateHub. That's what I first did when I first bought my first XRP ever in November of 2017. I used his exchange. And he's laying down some wisdom here, folks. And this post is from November 10th of 2023. I remember reading this post and the follow-up to it, which he wrote. It stuck out to me so much, and I agreed with it so much, that when I decided I wanted to cover what I've already covered with you in this video, I was like, I'm going to go search for this thing. So I used an advanced search function on X to pull this thing up from November of last year, and I found it. I had to hunt for this thing. I was like, yep, this is it. And this guy is right. Take it from somebody who's been here since basically the beginning of crypto. He's been here about the whole time crypto has existed. He's made his fortune. And so he wrote here, don't try to 100x in one cycle. That is horrible advice. Now, folks, if you go back to this post here, he's not telling you what to do, but he is highlighting that, looks like if he's right here, over a 200x for XRP. Just don't fall for this stuff. Just don't. And then in Eric Voorhees says, don't try to go from poor to rich in one blast. Go from poor to not poor, then to very comfortable, then to rich over multiple cycles and with wisdom. Try a humble 10x this time, achieve it, and be thoughtful. And I know nobody wants to hear that, just a 10x in one cycle. Look, I got to tell you, this is my third bull cycle, and I'm really looking forward to the conclusion of it. But I have had this outlook of I'm going to be here as long as it takes, but I thought maybe it does take 5 years, 10 years, who knows? I'll just be here however long it takes for this to make sense for me to be enticed to sell. But I've not cashed out anything into United States dollars, and you can make fun of me for that, but I think the hands-off approach is best. Because what I see is the people that are hands-on are the ones that make the most mistakes. So I'm going to do the polar opposite of that. I'm not going to touch it because I have strong conviction that the crypto pie gets bigger. And so the Bitcoin, the ETH, the XRP that I bought, the Cardano, the Chainlink, all of that, which I bought in 2017, is worth a fortune now compared to what it was worth in 2017. But I haven't sold it yet. I've had this almost 7 years now. I've had this, and I've accumulated throughout that entire 7 years. So my crypto today is worth a fortune compared to what it was back then. That's because I'm letting time play out and I'm letting multiple cycles play out. This is not a popular position, and I know some of you are probably rolling your eyes at this. I don't care. Because the people that are trying to get rich in one cycle, they're going to botch it. Almost all of them do. Almost 100% do. It's only a handful of people that actually get rich in crypto. And the real way to do it, it's not through buying courses from people and timing markets. Not that all courses are bad, but I think most of them It's not to do that. It's the same way you get rich in the stock market. You buy stuff and then you let time do the heavy lifting, compound interest. That's what you do with the stock market, right? So with crypto, the strategy is you buy stuff and then you don't do anything. And if you're right that the crypto pie gets bigger over a span of a decade, then if you have broad exposure, you win. It's not complicated. This is why I don't have anything to sell you. I don't have a course to sell you. I'm a regular dude. There's nothing special about me. I am not a finance guru. It's very basic stuff. You have exposure to a thing, and if you're right that the asset class gets bigger, you win. Quit trying to do it quickly, though. I'm not. 7 years and I haven't, and I'm a rare example. Humans have trouble doing this, but it freaking works. I'm telling you. And so when we do have this blow off top, which I'm assuming is going to come, even I don't know for sure, of course. If that happens, I strongly suspect that I will finally be enticed to sell most, if not all, of my crypto, because it will be that big of a deal. I've accumulated that much, and compared to where it was, a lot of the stuff I bought back in 2017, whoa. You know, I was here when Bitcoin was $3,200. I was here when ETH was $88. I was here when Cardano was 3 cents. All that stuff. Held Chainlink 25. When did I first buy it? I think it was like 25 cents when I bought Chainlink. So, but again, it's you let time do the heavy lifting. I didn't care about selling it, so it was worth way more, and I just decided to write it because I decided if it's not life changing for one cycle, then I don't want to sell. So I'm saying two things here. I'm saying if there's a pump and it's sufficiently life changing, sell. And also what I'm saying at the same time, and this is not conflicting, to be clear, I didn't sell in the previous cycles because it wasn't at that point for me. And I had a strategy that required me to see this through for the long haul. That is what I'm saying. And so, yeah, it was worth a good chunk of change even last cycle. But, you know, after things went back down and I did even more accumulation, like now it's just way better positioned. So I understand that you can play the wider swings and you can try to do it, but I took the most cautious approach that I've ever heard anyone take in crypto. And if I were, you know, looking back, you know, I could say, yeah, I could have sold at those peaks, but you can't know for sure if those are the peaks or if it'll just keep running without. You can't know for sure. And so I took that risk off the table. My human error. I wasn't going to, because I don't want to F it up. It's like Raul Paul says, don't F it up. That's exactly my thought process on this. I don't want to F it up. And for me, that just means hand off. Even though at the peaks of those markets, I was based on historic precedent thinking that, yeah, it's highly likely these are peaks. But in the off chance I'm wrong, I don't want to mess it up. I want my exposure to the asset class. And one day it'll be worth so much that I'll finally sell it. And that is very unpopular, and most people can't see that. They just don't have the patience to see something like that through. But I'm doing it. I'm telling you it works. If you have sufficient exposure to the asset class and you wait long enough, that's it. There is no course. If I had a course, that would be it. Give me your $100. That's the course. That's it. Don't buy stuff and don't do anything and wait a decade. There you go. Now, people don't want to hear that, though. That's why, you know, the channels that have the hypey stuff and buy this course and XRP to $10,000, it's really going to do it. Those people get views. People want to hear that stuff. But I want to have an audience that wants to live in reality with me, okay? This is much more useful to understand these basic things here. And so then he also wrote in response to his own poster, he said, the irony is that getting rich slowly in crypto still means life-changing wealth in a decade. And still, some are too impatient for that. And so I look at that and I'm here almost 7 years in. I'm like, yeah, that's about right for me. You know, if this is really the blow-off top, yeah, waited, you know, close to a decade then. Okay, whatever. That's getting rich slowly in crypto. Folks, you got to put this in perspective. That's incredible. In the stock market, you'll be lucky if you like double your money in 7 to 10 years. In crypto, it's like from very little to you're very rich in that time period. But if you're going to get in and out of positions, and then when you have life-changing wealth, if you don't sell, which is why for me, I think that it's probably going to be a big enough number this market cycle for me that I will be a fool if I don't sell this market cycle. Not selling the last two, no, I wasn't a fool because it wasn't where I wanted it to be. It wasn't sufficiently life-changing. This time, for me, it will be, and I will be a fool if I don't sell, if it goes where I anticipate it. So I'm just saying, if you're in a position where it's that big of a deal for you and it's life-changing for you, just strongly consider that. Recognize the rare position you're in, because it can go like in snap of a finger, it can just go away. And it is that quick when it comes to these markets. So just take it in consideration, do whatever you want, but that's my 2 cents on it. Off the soapbox now. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.